Hi and welcome to Anthony's Amazing World. We're here today. I will be reassembling my 1995 Ford Explorer manual transmission, which I had just got new parts in, which I'll go over. Got my new input shaft, my main shaft where all my gears are going to go on. I got the thrust bearing, needle bearing, the shifter cover, a counter locking nut, and the main shaft locking nut. Now I know I said I wasn't going to use any special tools, but I am going to use the press to get this bearing off and to get this bearing off, which in the past, what I did to do it without a press, I would cut this bearing off, and I'd also cut at an angle on the piece that's right here behind all the roller bearings, and then I'd use some sort of punch that has a split like this, and I would hit right in where I was cutting the bearing apart, and it'll split apart and come off. Same with this bearing. You just got to do it very careful. And the other way to put them back on is you would heat this bearing up in an oven or a also the other way you can heat these bearings up is put it in a crock pot with oil, and that'll make it expand so it can slide on after you've gotten all these gears on. If you want to do it without a press, that's the way I would do it. Same with this bearing too. You heat this one up, and you can heat the bearing up and put this in the fridge, or the freezer, which will shrink this, and heating the bearing up will expand it, so then it would slide all the way down on the shaft. But since I have a press today, I'm going to use my press. So I'll go ahead and jump right into that. I got to get this, I believe it's third gear. I have to look in my book, double check. Okay, as you can see, it is my third and fourth gear. I'll show you here. Shows right there, third and fourth clutch hub. So I'll be removing this and replacing it with the one I got brand new, which I did forget to say I did get that brand new. As you can see, brand new. The only thing is I got to put the springs in it, the little springy doohickeys in there. And then I can put that all back together. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it. I'm going to remove this guy, which I'll use that with my C-clip removal tool. And get set up for that. Alright, I'll go ahead and take this guy off. C-clip right there. Looks like a washer there. I might need to clean this up a little bit. There's some nasty little grooves on there. Alright, now this should slide right off like so. Here's my sink screw. Go ahead and leave it together for now. Then you got this guy, and the bearing, big needle bearing. So go ahead and stack them together like so. Keep them together. Alright, now we're down to this guy here. So I should be able to put this in the press and press all this off. So I'll go ahead and get set up for that. We'll jump into doing that. Okay, I got this all set up. Go ahead and give it some cranks here and see if we can't get all these gears off.
There we go.
Jeez. Whoa. There we go. All right. I got that done. I can do the input shaft too. Okay, got the input shaft all set. Give it some cranks here.
There we go. Got started.
There we go. Okay, cleaned up the bearing and got it all ready and lubed up. We'll go ahead and see if we can't get around there.
There we go.
That should be good. Good to go. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and take this clutch hub apart. Which I was talking about. It's got these springs here that are in a circle. They hook into the hub. So there's a little hole. You just go ahead and put that in, like so. I'll do that after we put in the little clip things here. I'll flip this over. These are the little guys that I'm taking out and putting in my new clutch hub here. Go ahead and slide these in. Should be, put them in this way. You can see. Just slide it in right there. Got another one right here. Each clutch hub has 3 of these little guys. Inspect those and make sure they're all right. Alright, got those in place. And we'll put our spring in. Which I believe goes one way. Just like so. We'll go ahead and flip it over. We'll put our other spring on this side. Find the little hole. There, now we're in place. Our little pins are all in place. Now that's ready to put on. And this is potential junk. I'll save it just because I do save these metal broken pieces to for art later, to weld together something and make welded art. Okay, now that we got that, I will have to clean some of this stuff up. It looks like it has some debris all over it from the needle bearings and thrust bearing. So I'm going to go ahead and take this main shaft apart and inspect it and clean all the gears before I put it on the main shaft. So I'll go ahead and do that on my own, get it prepared, put it back in the press and press it all together. Okay, I got everything cleaned up now. I'm going to go ahead and put everything back on the way it came off. I just wanted to make a note. Head on your second and first gear, which is this one right here. Your clutch hub has a identification hole right here, or a little dot that's been drilled into the sidewall. Now it is pretty critical to pay attention to your clutch hubs because they are slightly different. So when you take them off, make sure you make a note on which way they went on the shaft. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it, assembling it. I'm going to put some assembly lube on from a bearing there, so that way it's not dry. Just lube up this whole shaft area right here because that's where everything goes on. And then there, got that whole chunk on. Now the next section. Just like lubing all my stuff up beforehand. Make sure it slides on and easy, real easy. There we go. Now I just got to put my bearing on. So I'll have to put that in the press to press this on. Which I will mention that I have done this without a press, and actually threw this bearing in the oven for a while. I think it was like 350 degrees, and then I also lubed it up, and when you heat it up in the oven, it expands, so it slides right down on the shaft if you do heat it up. So I'm going to go ahead and get it set up for the press. Press that all together. That should be good to go for now. Alright, got it all set up. Go ahead and see about making this happen.
Alright, there we go.
Alright. All together. Okay, now I'm just going to go ahead and finish up the main shaft here before I move on to the rest of the transmission. Lube it up a little bit. There we go. Got the bearing and then the gear. Now the clutch hub and synchro. There we go. Got the synchro in the wrong spot. Okay, found out what the problem was. This clutch hub isn't exactly where it's supposed to be when it came from factory. They set it off one tooth off, so I'm gonna have to take it back apart so then it can shift up. It's supposed to be able to shift in the gear, but if I show you, there's the missing tooth right here, and that's supposed to line up like so when it shifts, but it's supposed to be positioned right there, so I need to rotate the outer hub part over one tooth and then put it back together. I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick. Okay, I'll show you real quick how it's supposed to operate. Just clicks in like so. Should just go like that. So now I can put this on. I should. Like so. testing it out. Put my ring on. There we go. All in place, back together. Now I can start putting the rest of the transmission together. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take a moment here and show you these 2 pages about disassembling and assembling of sub-assembling. So I got all my gears and everything ready, all cleaned up with some parts cleaner, and also some lacquer thinner. Cleaned up all the greasy stuff where I'm going to put my silicone to seal it all back up. But this is kind of an important part. It does show some measurements you would take so you can get the different sized shims you may need. So on this side, they do show you a whole bunch of shim sizes and whatnot. And when you're going to go to put your gears all back in, the bearing retainers are hand tight, really. Not too much cranking on that. Anyways, if you need to read it, you can pause it, zoom in, and check all the stuff out. I'm going to move on now. That's just about one important part I would show you. Alright, let's put this thing together. I'm going to start with my bottom shaft here and go in at an angle. Slide that bad boy in. I'm just going to leave it without bearings right now. Put in our input shaft and the main shaft with the needle bearing, the thrust bearing, and your synchro. Don't forget your synchro. It should look like that. This is the tricky part here. I'm going at an angle. And then you gotta wiggle your input shaft and your main shaft a little bit around. There, oh, synchro fell off. That's right. Get it started here a little, and then I can adjust. Should be able to adjust. This makes it so much harder when you got to do all 3. Line it up. It's best to have that synchro just sitting on there, though. Use some assembly lube to make it stay put. There. That fixed my problem there. No, or not. There we go. All of them together. All together now. Now, we're going to start with putting in the bottom bearings. Actually, I'll do the top so it takes the weight off. Which I have This small retainer here should go right up front, or nope, sorry, back. So slide this in, put some lube on it. Always, like I said, like using assembly lube. Works good for making things stay put. So just slide that in position if you can. There we go. Just in a decent area right there. And my front one. Oh. This is a tricky part too. There. Seems like it's falling out. There we go. Got them both semi-started. And go ahead and use a brass punch and a hammer to tap them in. Oh, that one fell out of position. Yep, these top ones are just a little different getting them in there. I'm not doing very good right now. I think I'm just going to start with the bottom, making it harder. See if I can at least start the bottom, and maybe the top will stop falling all over. I'm going to start with the front bearing here. Yeah. If I get it propped up at the same angle. Maybe that'll be better that way. Start with the top again here. There. Top one there. Sliding out on me. There we go. Beautiful. Now I got them. It's the best way to just do them at the same time. At least that's how I got it in there. Now, go for the bottom one in the front. Come on. There. Got that one started. Now our other bearing for the rear. Give it a little bit of lube here. Now it makes it kind of hard to put in, but I always like having them lubed up.
Top one fell out. Dang it. Try and get this cap in. Oop. So weed in there. Gotta check those tops. Bottom one, come on. There you wanna go. That's the problem when you're doing this. Bearing retainers like to fall out. Bearing braces. Not sure what they're called. I almost had it started. There we go. Yeah, got them all in now. Tapping the bottom one. Just a smidge. Over my... There we go. We're gonna have my punch. Okay, now I got everything in place.
I can put the bearing retainer on. I believe these are the small bolts with the locking nuts on them. We also got an arrow. Put that on. There we go. Right in position. Now it's pretty much a piece of cake from here of doing this section. Just got these 12 bolts. You can choose to torque down or just do it by hand. Just they're under 20 foot-pounds of torque, which I think anybody can achieve by doing it by hand. Just feel them out. Just make sure you don't break it. Cause you a bigger problem. Alright, I'm going to hit up these 6 bolts on the back half of the transmission.
Right little snug here. Now I'll move on to the front. We'll put some RTV on to seal the front. These are pushed back there. Then, get the silicone, get the tip ready here.
Alright, put some silicone on and slap it.
Come on, silicone.
Alright, now I'm also going to put some in the holes itself, because it goes to the other side where the oil is.
Just to seal it. This where my collection flywheel. This where all that. Then before we seal this part out. Do not fill up this hole though. So you need that.
So that it goes and flows through this section and gets on the other side of that bearing there, that bottom bearing. And same with that top hole there, goes through here and lubes all this up and make sure it doesn't get overheated. So now we'll go ahead and slide that in position. There we go. Put our bolts in, 12 millimeters. Okay, snug that down right now. Get these other ones in there. Putting them in there snug right now, and then I'll hit them hard. Same with these though, they're only under under 20 foot-pounds of torque. Go ahead and hit that. And this will be done for this section. We'll go to the back and start putting the back together. And that's it. That's there. That part. In my opinion, that's the most difficult part, really, is dealing with the gears. Okay, time to put the back half together. Which I'm going to put this little bearing in first. Put a little bit of lube, assembly lube right there. So then it'll stay in place. Use the magnet, slip it right in there. Should stay put. Other guy in there. Just line the ball up with that little line up area. There it goes, slides right down on there. Go ahead and move up my half bearings. Slide in my big gear here. There we go. Next we got a little gear that goes on the main shaft. There we go. And our spacer. There's the spacer. And our shift hub. Here's our shift hub. Make sure my pins are lined up. Nope, not lined up. Gotta make sure that these three little contact areas on the hub line up with your synchro down there. Should be lined up right there. One tooth over. There. There we go. All lined up. Now, what's next? We need this guy. Goes in place here. So I'm going to go ahead and scoop up this little section here. Silicone. There we go. ahead and zap that down here in a moment. I got the next guy here. No, we need this next. Got these 2 half washers go into place. And then this special washer that will lock it in place. And our synchro and our other gear. Something like so. And I also have some bearings. This guy. Bam. Should be good to go there. Now, I put my shift arm in there. Or I believe we'll reverse. I need to get some tools ready. I need to tighten that down and tighten the bolt that holds in the shift lever. So I'll go ahead and get set up for that and we'll continue on. Okay, time to put the shifting for reverse in this little guy here. Which I put a little bit of silicone right here to help it seal up. It does have a little rubber gasket or oil ring, but I want to make sure that it is sealed up. Got that, my little 10 here. Put a little 10 in. That should be sealed up now. And I just got a washer and a C-clip. Keep this in place. That should do right there. Now, you gotta hit this 12 millimeter on the outside to keep this shaft in place. Quick hit. And 17 on this side to keep this in place. That's all solid now. Now we have this custom washer right here, I believe goes like so. And then we have the needle bearing. Should go right there. Slide goes in like so. And the last gear here, slide over and fall into the groove like so. Alright. Now we have, I believe, this big bearing right here. I wonder if I have to press that. Can't remember. Oh, is this the one I have to? This is the one I have to heat up and let it slide on. Huh. Well, we'll go to the next thing. This big washer here, and this bearing here, and then another washer right here, and another seat clip. Should stay in place. Now I got the locking nuts to do, and then the rear cover. Okay, got the transmission set up in the press, which I was in before. I used to heat this up in an oven to like 350 degrees for like half an hour and then slide it right on. But I got a press. I'm going to use my press.
There it goes. And that's it.
Okay, now it's time to put on the locking nuts, which when you're at this point, you want to put it in third and in first to lock this in place so nothing moves on you. Just to show you, there they are in neutral, and everything spins. You go ahead and lock, like I said, lock it in gear in third and in first, which that's what it says in the book there. And then we're going to torque down the locking nuts here. Go ahead and put them on by hand. And then we'll torque them down. This one is 160 to 202 foot-pounds of torque. This one's 94 to 144 pounds of torque. Then after we torque them down, we should be able to hit it with a punch and a hammer and lock it in place. So go ahead and jump right into that, and you get a socket ready, and then yeah. All right, let's see if we can torque this down. So I have this one set at 100. Oops. Looks like my makeshift transmission holder didn't work. I'm gonna have to reset it up. Round 2. Nope, it's gonna move on me. Nope, nope, nope. Not good. Alright. Hopefully this time it'll stay in place. Nope, nope, nope. Let's just see if it'll stay there. There we go. 100 pounds right there. So we'll stop at that one. Go ahead and do the bigger one. I made this makeshift socket to tighten this bad boy up because I didn't have one that big. I'm sure a socket this big would cost a lot of money. So I'm going to set this one at 165. Go 165. Get that right on there. Oh, Dad, I'm going to need your help to keep this cart steady. On this side. Just hold it down. Alright. There we go. 165 pounds.
Don't we have a big black one?
Okay, ready to give it a punch. See if this works. Hell was that? I broke the tip a little. That should be good enough right there. This one. We'll call that good. Now we can put some silicone all around here. Put the back cover on. And a couple other things I need to do. Put the drain plug in. Put the, what do you call it, the oil collector back in. And then I'll test going through all the gears. Alright. Tighten up some things. Got my drain plug. So I gotta put some sealant around the threads to give it extra sealant. That's it. Now we'll do the drain collector. The drain collector in its little spot here. Get her lined up. I'm going to put a little bit of silicone in there because it goes towards the inside. Go ahead. I always like to put it somewhere where it looks like it goes through into the case so it doesn't leak later. Got that started. Go ahead and zap that down. Wipe the excess off on the inside. Now I'll put my rear on, which I had already siliconed that all up. I believe you do come with a gasket, but let's do it this way. There we go, everything lines up. Now zap down these big bolts. Yep, got some 14s here. Get those off. Now I'll go ahead and zap everything down, which is only 24 to 34 foot-pounds of torque, I believe. That's what they call for. This thing does pretty good for hitting things down pretty good and tight. All right, I'll let that dry overnight before I fill it up with some gear oil, or what normally goes in here is automatic transmission fluid for some reason. But it's hot out here and makes it like liquid, so I'm gonna probably do a 50-50 blend and see how that does. But for now, I'm going to get the top on and we'll test it out. Test it going in the gear, each gear, and hopefully it's all nice and smooth. Okay, now I'm going to set the cover on. So just make sure you line up your shifting forks with the hubs here. It should just slide in once it's in position. Like so. Now I'm only going to put 4 bolts on to hold her in position for now. Because later I'm going to open it back up and put oil or put gear oil in there. This is just a test to make sure it goes into just like so. And put your locking bolt in there. There we go. I'll go ahead and try first, second, third, fourth, fifth, reverse. Beautiful. Seems like everything's good and golden. Now, the next step is to throw it in the truck and get the Explorer back up and running. Okay, that's pretty much it for this episode. Until the next one, where I'll go to be putting it back in the Explorer and driving it around again. Be sure to stay in tune if you'd like to see that. Hit that like, subscribe, and share button. Until next time, we'll see you guys later.